All right. Let's do this. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to IdiOtBlog 332. It's Saturday night here in Seattle, Washington. And you are listening to Johnny Rocker. You can find him at, or them at, or this page at BandLab.com/the_challenge. Let me read the page for you. It says this: the challenge, 2 buds creating 1 song apiece every month. Every song is a different genre. Each bud has to write and record their own version of a genre. And then I think they come together and put them together on the same page. So this is actually 2 different people, I believe. It says Rob versus Scott. It doesn't tell you who's who. But this is the curse. It says the challenge is the hashtag. This got hashtags metal, doom, sludge, heavy, doom metal, sludge metal. Sorry about the clicking on the track there. So doom and sludge. That's the August category. And that was the first track, The Curse. This is the end. Another doom or sludge. Yeah, another track that's doom or sludge. Here. We had a member of the band Blood Oath share this in the group chat. So I think that spawned some activity over on this channel. And that got me the desire to do a feature. So I popped on over and I've been doing a feature. Yeah, we're listening to The End by Johnny Walker, which is 2 buds doing a challenge, posting it here on this page. This is definitely somewhere to come back and keep checking for updates. Wonder what the genre is next month. Dance. Trance. I see they have like grunge and folk and a few different other genres. Definitely a slew of genres. See, next is punk. You got 2 on punk. Then you got screamo, hip hop, 80s hair metal. Obviously they do metal. They play guitar, seems for sure. Instrumental and ambient, Spacewalker. And Epiphany, 2 of them. Grunge. There's a few grunge tracks, so maybe. Oh no, maybe Can't Leave a Light On. It just has a second, deeper posting. Yeah, so it looks like it started with folk. Boom. Oh, this is cool. This is fun listen. It reminds me that I don't have, I'm very fusion. I do not have genre boundaries, or, I mean, I get that I can hear and analyze a song and determine stylistically pretty well the genre in comparison to being able to create something in a specific genre. I understand instrumentation is very important, but also this type of musicality is a big play. If you were to play folk, it's going to be very easily become country, or have a classic rock feel to it if you don't approach it right, because those have similar instrumentations. But it would be very hard for you to try to attempt on an acoustic to just all of a sudden accidentally do hip-hop. But now, that being said, hip-hop does not have restraint on what instruments can be used. It's just how dominant they can be. So if you have guitar in a hip-hop track, it's not going to be massively dominant. There's going to be a lot more drums and bass that dominate, and it's going to be definitely flavor, character, and harmony over progressive nature, like chord structure and stuff like that, or even dynamic riffs. So we've moved on to punk. This is Speed in the Machine. I'm going to drop a like here. I don't know how many tracks we're going to do today. It's late today, but it is Saturday night. Reminds me of Fear. Very doubled sounding snare. There could definitely be a little less, there could definitely be something to be said, the reverb or whatever, the doubling effect on the snare, that can be taken down a little bit. But that's about the only critique I have for this band so far. So I don't normally like to critique, but I'm trying to bring critical evaluations into my blog experience. I've held off on them for almost a solid year now, being critical in any way, and I'm not trying to be harshly critical. I'm just saying I would just say the doubling effect on that snare could be downplayed a little bit, or just snubbed a little bit in volume. You're hearing it. It's not bad. I'm definitely not saying that. It's definitely a good sound. Wonder if these guys are like roommates or what. It'd be interesting to know a little bit more about what's going on with Robin Scott. Otherwise known as Johnny Rocker. Had an interesting incident today, or this week. I forgot about my razor, and then I forgot to tell my parents to grab the razor, so they're probably already home now. And, let's see. Oh, Saturday night. Okay, I'll call them. It's Saturday night. My razor, my beard trimmer, the charger's gone. It's not around. I must have left it in Chelan, so I'm going to have to call my parents and say, hey, could you grab that and bring it back with you? Or maybe I'll just have them leave it there, and I'll grab it next time I'm there. Let's see. Decide tonight. What's the plan? We the people refuse to wear masks. We the people won't hide behind our consciousness. Oh, I've been feeling about bringing punk back, actually. I did a few punk tracks, a punk album, I guess you could call it. I don't know if anybody remembers it. It's called Wake Up Punk. I believe it was called that. Yeah, I made 12 songs. Songs like Glue versus Soap, Huffing Paint versus Huffing Glue, Beer Soaked Leather, More Beer, Beer Up the Ass, Circle Jerk-Offs, No Means Yes, House Party at 2 a.m., Bloody Dicks, Come for Free, Drink the Rent, and Vomit Beard. Those are some tracks I did, some punk tracks. You know what it's all about. Now these guys got lyrics going. I'm almost never doing lyrics, so it's not that I don't have lyrical ability, and it's definitely not that I don't hear harmonies and lyrics in the music I make. It's just that I don't know. It just takes a different dedication and desire to finish a song out that way. For me in the music, it's usually what I love the most, and I tackle that. And then to me it feels done or mostly done, even without the lyrics. So solidarity in chaos. Well, I got this seal in the mail. It goes between my the pump, which is like the part that the spindle off my engine with a bunch of lines on it attaches to the impeller area. This is supposed to go over that rod, and then when the impeller's there, kind of seal up into that to keep less water from flowing up in there and give it a good, have it go and rattle a little less. It's just a nice little part, made in Japan, genuine part, Kawasaki part. I really want to get that back in my jet ski, but whatever. Kawasaki. There you go, pre-recorded, stop. Talk a little bit about something we've talked about before. So I want to talk about EQing and how EQing can be used to help things sit in a mix better, to help you achieve a fuller sound in the mix. So for instance, you're going to want to start out with a track with getting the best sound you can for the instrument. A lot of times you're going after a sound in your head, but sometimes you're just using the sounds you can get. That being said, there's fundamental and harmonic zones for instruments, musical instruments and voices, and these fundamental sounds are where you would have the most effect playing with the EQ. And let me get you familiar here. Is things like this: snare drum fundamentals are between 100 and 200 hertz, but the harmonics are anywhere between 1 to 20,000 hertz. You see, these are wide ranges, but the kick drums fundamentals are between 30 and 150 hertz, with harmonics in the 1 to 6 kilohertz range, meaning it doesn't. The high harmonic and click and all those kinds of sounds and the basketball-y tones, those are up in that upper register, but definitely not as high as the stuff you get on a cymbal. And the lower fundamental is down there in that 30 to 150 hertz range, depending on how it's tuned. Same with the snare. Depending on how it's tuned, you can even hear them as high as 250, 300K in the snare. And that starts to be the mid-range, not just the bass. But what I was getting at is each instrument has these fundamental tones, and they have these harmonic tones. The harmonic tones are usually the tones that you grab to try to pull it into the mix and make it shine and sparkle. But the fundamental tones are what are needed to help you feel a part. That's why you're going to have a lot more fundamental expansion of sound in the rhythmic zone to help keep the whole thing moving. Things like bass, things like drums. So, what am I getting at is that with that sizzle, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the presence, how forward it sits in the mix. You bring up the harmonic values in the EQ, those higher area. If you're using like a parametric EQ, you have a bump, you can kind of move around that bump. When you're doing that, you're going to hear at certain spots, it will kind of jump forward and it will kind of move around in that plane of listening. It will kind of move around in that plane, and you'll hear it kind of come forward, and maybe it's coming forward to you like this, it's coming up in the mix and being more present. You'll get that when you pull those highs up. But you won't necessarily feel it here if you don't bring the fundamentals up too. So finding the right notches and finding the right spots for each instrument to sing and keep its presence and its feel is the balance of mixing with EQ. And it's why EQ is so powerful. It's why it's more powerful than delay. All these things, those things are mixed in very small amounts, but EQ will be applied thickly on the whole mix, and it will be used to pull the sound into different areas in the mix and different amount of presences. So for instance, you feel and you hear the bass, but you can still hear all the clarity of this song behind, because the bass doesn't have a lot of presence, has a lot of fundamental tone, but you never stop feeling it. And when the bass and the vocals start jiving exactly with each other and following with each other, it really will draw you in. And sometimes you won't even realize that it's happening, and you won't realizing how much they're in sync until maybe the 10th time you hear a song, or until you're just listening to the bass alone and realizing how important it is. I'm not trying to talk up basses here, but I'm trying to talk about EQ and how bass makes you feel, and then some other things go over it, and those things will have the presence. Bass very often is just left there in that low area, and every once in a while will come out with some presence here and there, slap parts or funky little breakdowns and stuff like that. Usually it's kept, these instruments, the rhythmic instruments, are kept to feels, and their fundamentals are the main part of their sound. I got this book here. I've been using it for a long time. It's just got little information in it, and a lot of this information is all memorized by me, but in a format that applies to how I use it. And I like to go back to it and kind of try and talk about it in a way that can apply to more people. Now, I haven't done that in a while. I haven't talked about recording stuff in a while, and I'm going to get back into talking about it more. I want to talk about some of the problems I've run into in live recording and other things like that too. I want to do more things where I am here blogging and recording at the same time. That's a challenge to set up, but I want to get doing that. Ooh, so moving over to hip hop here. I might just let this be the play out here, you guys. Hope you guys are all enjoying yourself this weekend. Everybody's having fun on BandLab. Keep making music, everybody. I'll be getting back to making music here soon. Well, alright. Johnny Rocker at @the_challenge. Rob versus Scott. Go take a peek. Oh, they even rapped. Damn. Enjoy, guys. We are music. IdiOtBlog 332.
Everybody knows it's a cinematic masterpiece. Now take a step to the side and let my point break. Johnny Utah was the man in that last frame. Bodie, the only, his Eskimo Brody paddles towards that wave like a beast, homie.